does it have to be all or nothing all the time?
Like, what am I doing? I'm doing it for the show. Field of 68 till I die.
This is the Field of 68 After Dark show, the only place that you need to be for college hoops every single night.
It's the Field of 68 After Dark, Monday, February 6th edition, and we've got the two voices of After Dark here. You just heard the intro. You heard their very voices. We got Rob Dauster. We got Terrence Oglesby here. My name is Greg Waddell. And gentlemen, it's been a, quiet slate, kind of, but there's been some eye-popping results tonight. We're going to get into Duke, Miami. We're going to get into Texas and Kansas. That game is still going on as we open the show. And we had a new bracketology show today on the Field of 68 as well, with a lot of takeaways we will dive into. But first, T.O., we have to acknowledge there's no Big Ten to talk about tonight. And you're our resident Big Ten. I saw some tweets. The people want Big Ten from you. I don't know that we can make that happen tonight.
It's funny how the turntables. It's amazing. Huge Big East guy last year to huge Big Ten guy this year. And I am not pleased. With the way this day has gone. But hey, two good games tonight. Two good games.
Yeah, look at you now. We have plenty to dive into that is not horrible Big Ten basketball, T.O. Rob, how are you doing tonight? I see you've got a little glass there. You're ready for the cheers already. We'll save that for the end of the show, but I respect it.
I get it going, man. That's the way that I bring the energy, right? T.O. always has the energy. Sometimes I need a little bit of liquid energy.
Fair. Very fair. A team who could have used a little liquid energy tonight, gentlemen. How about the Duke Blue Devils, who were down 13-1, 3 minutes into this game? You could have flipped it off right then and there. I mean, this game was not competitive. It was a turnover fest for Duke. I think I counted probably 22 times this game that Miami had at least a 3-on-1 break. We had guys walking back. Just ugly basketball from the Blue Devils. They looked like a team that just had their emotional climax of their season less than 36 hours ago. And they go into Miami tonight. Larrañaga's boys just blew the doors off them, as a good team should do. I'm starting to take Miami seriously as a good team. Should I do that, T.O.? Are you in on the Hurricanes again this year?
First of all, excellent wording and how you did that. Emotional climax of the season. Excellent wording. Proud of you. Well done. Secondly, Miami's been good all season. And the fact that Duke starts 2 7-footers and Norchad Ormier was that good and that consistent all game. That dude's a beast. He reminds me of Trevor Booker, guys. Same kind of build, big, strong, stocky body, able to finish, rebounds with the big fellas. Like, he's really, really good. But whoever decided to give Duke an at Miami game 2 days after playing Duke UNC, that's messed up. And that is some bias in the ACC offices. And it needs to be addressed, world. It needs to be addressed. How do you do that to a team full of freshmen? It's crazy.
That never would have happened if Coach K was still there.
No, he would have called the league office immediately.
Yeah, immediately. I think this is one of those ones. What do you call them in the NBA? Schedule losses.
Yeah.
Right. Scheduled losses. That's just one of those ones where you come off of a win like you had against North Carolina. You come off of the peak of what college basketball is about when you play in the ACC and when you play in Chapel Hill, when you play on Tobacco Road, and then you have to go on the road to take on a Miami team that has kind of found their gear and is hitting their ceiling and is playing some of the best basketball that we've seen them playing this season. It's a tough ask. You know, the hardest thing I think about being a freshman is figuring out how to deal with the success, right? Understanding that just because you got this one big win, it doesn't mean that the next time you play, when it's on the road in front of a packed house, in front of a bunch of Miami Marlins players were there, they're not just going to roll over, right? That is a good basketball team that had a full building that was going absolutely crazy. Jim Larrañaga was out there throwing his money around. Like it said a lot about Miami, but I think that it just kind of showcased the youth of this Duke team. Well, that was my biggest takeaway. Like I'm still there on Duke, like being a team that can make some noise if they get healthy, when Jeremy Roach plays well, assuming that Derek Lively keeps being the guy that, I mean, he was still pretty good defensively tonight. He didn't have a great game offensively. And like as a team, this was not their best performance, but he still had 5 blocks. He had 11 points. Like it's not like he played badly. They just looked like a team that was The hangover, is that probably the best way to say? They had a little bit of
that's what
Carolina
it looked like.
hangover.
And guys, when you open up the first 8 minutes of a game at Miami, a ranked team, a really good team, in the first 7 minutes of the game, Duke missed 6 layups, 2 wide open threes, and got a non-tip in called out. So basically, what did they leave on the board? 18 points, wide open shots, layups. You got to hit those on the road, especially when some of the guys you're playing with have 6 and 7 inch height differences. You got to finish those. And I know Omier is a load, but at the same time, like, you got to hit those. And I don't know what's going on, but Filipowski will not throw the lob to Derek Lively. What did you guys see that as many times as I did? They're doing some 5-out ball screen motion, and they're kind of getting what they want. Lively's wide open. They're not throwing it. I think that's I'm not sure what's happening.
The problem is that's another just kind of, this is what happens when you have freshmen, right? When has Kyle Filipowski ever been asked to kind of come off of those little like 4 or 5 ball screens and throw a ball up to the rim? What has he ever been asked
he's
to,
on the reverse. He's on the reverse. So basically, he's coming off a ball screen on the side at the 45. He's kicking it ahead, and on the kick ahead, you have the lob.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when
he's
has
not
he ever been asked to throw that pass, to see that pass,
high low?
Yeah, to understand that it's just that, to me, that's one of those things where it's like, okay, this is something that he'll develop over the years. But I mean, they're freshmen, man. It's kind of hard. Sometimes freshmen play like freshmen, T.O. There's a reason why they say the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores.
Not those freshmen.
Fair.
Not those freshmen. They don't become sophomores.
Tonight,
Derek Lively might become.
There's no chance. He's combined for what, 14 blocks in the past 2 games?
Yeah, there's no chance.
See you, buddy.
There's no chance. T.O., tell me if this is a crazy take. Is this team just bad on the road? I mean, they're 2-5 in ACC play. Whether you want to call it inexperience, whether you want to call it, I don't know if we were alluding to some chemistry stuff there between the front court guys.
No. That's
whatever.
Like, I'm saying, like, he's just not seeing it, and a lot goes to what Rob's saying. They're just not seeing it, and so basically, I say all that to say this: like, I still like the shots that Duke was getting. They just missed a bunch of them, and the problem is when you're a bunch of freshmen, you get deflated when you miss a bunch of those layups. You get deflated. I'm curious to know. You said, what'd you say the record was on the road?
2-5 on the road in ACC play.
What was it with Jeremy Roach not there? Do you have any idea? That's probably a tough thing to answer right away.
I can dig it quickly. Just stall for me for like 15 seconds.
I could probably stall, but to me, like, he's the guy that has to pick you up a little bit, and he was getting spots, but you miss layups at the beginning of the game, as many as they did in the first 6 or 7 minutes. It's going to take it out of you. But
it was 1 and 4,
said,
1 and 4 with 1 and 4 with Roach. Only one of those road games.
So that doesn't matter necessarily.
Yeah. But Roach and Proctor also combined to go 4 for 13 from the floor with 5 turnovers.
Yeah.
10 turnovers. They had 5 turnovers each.
Guys, as much as we're on Duke, and Duke didn't play their best game, but Miami looked great. And Miami just came off. It wasn't an emotional win in the sense of, Duke, UNC, obviously, but going up to Clemson, number 1 seed Clemson, and then winning, and then they have to go back home and turn it around in 48 hours. Like, they slept away from the house for that one, had to come home and get ready to play. So this Miami team, what's made them so dangerous, and the reason I picked them in the Elite Eight, and the reason they made the Elite Eight last year, I'm just going to keep throwing that in there as many times as I possibly can, because that's what I'm going to do. The reason being is because Isaiah Wong can create. Nigel Pack can create. They have guards that can really make things happen. But that wasn't the case today, guys. Like Wooga Poplar, he flourished today off of ball movement. They were running second and third side offense, and they had Duke's freshmen in a tizzy trying to get to rotations.
Well, it's because they play they play 5 out. They play 5 guard. Like their whole thing is, we're going to make it difficult for you to guard us, right? Yeah. And it also helps when the guy that hasn't hit a 3-pointer all season long makes 2 of them, right? That's always a little bit of found money, a little bit of it's like when the first day of winter, when you reach into the pocket of your jacket and you find that $20 bill. That's basically what Norwich had Omir's.
You can't have money, can you, Greg?
Yeah.
Sure
can't hide money. Field 68's crushing it. Can't hide money.
You sure can't. Hey, we got a chance to sit down with Jim Larrañaga tonight after the win. The money man himself, pulling wads of dollar bills out of his pockets to laugh in the face of Jim Boeheim as he defeats Duke by just a simple 22 points at home tonight. Here's our interview with Jim. live
All right.
with Coach Jim Larrañaga after Miami's massive win over the Duke Blue Devils. Coach, first of all, congratulations. That had to have been a fun one for you, right?
Well, I thought we played great from start to finish. We jumped out on them, got ahead like 13-1. There was several timeouts that I was concerned that we had exhausted ourselves in the first half and would have no energy left for the second half. But sure enough, we came out in the second half and built up the lead again and extended it into the 20s.
Coach, Norchad Ormir, I was wondering how he was going to fit in after you lost Sam Wardenberg, like that kind of that inside out kind of mostly outside kind of guy. But Ormir, he's knocking down threes. He's so physically strong. And against a team with a bunch of 7-footers, my man was playing amazing, just so physically strong. What does he bring to your team?
Well, those are the first 2 threes that he's made this season.
I know. What a great time to have him.
It's not like he's looking for that shot all the time. But what he is looking for and what he does is he is a massive rebounder. He goes after every missed shot offensively, defensively, and he plays very, very big. He's only 6'7", weighs about 245. He has an incredible vertical leap. He's got long arms, big hands, catches everything. And for him, these are all major challenges. You got to remember, he played at Arkansas State the first 2 years. Mm-hmm. So coming into the ACC, he had not faced, 2 7-footers in the starting lineup in his previous 2 seasons. So This is very new for him, and he's made a tremendous adjustment. But the biggest thing you have to know about him, he is the nicest kid with the greatest personality. He's got so much energy. The coaches love him, his teammates love him, and the fans love him.
Now that he's hit 2 threes, how many does he get to miss before you tell him to stop shooting?
No, we have a very simple rule. If you can make a 3, then look for another one. But if you start missing, you miss 1 or 2, start looking for more inside baskets.
All right, I got to ask you about my guy, Wooga Poplar. I live outside of Philly. He's a Philly kid. He had 14 points tonight. When he gets going, it feels like he brings a different dynamic. Everyone knows about Nigel. Everyone knows about Isaiah Wong. Everybody should know about Jordan Miller at this point. But Wooga's just kind of there. This guy can go get you 14, 15, 18 when you need those points.
Okay, I absolutely love Wooga. I love the progress that he's making. I talk to him all the time. I send him videos all the time about the things that he should be simulating. Like I sent him a video of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's turnaround jumper. He hasn't gotten that in his game yet, but I showed him how to shoot pull-up jumpers. His pull-up jumper is probably the greatest shot, not only that he has, but that anybody on our team can make, because he makes it at such a high level if he stays on balance. If he rushes, he's going to miss. If he dribbles too much, he's going to miss. But if he takes it 1-2 dribbles right or left and elevates, it's dynamic. And you see his elevation in the open court. The guy can jump out of the gym and throw it down with power.
So I feel like this speaks to how many guys had moments for you in this game. I mean, Hurricanes fans are probably ecstatic with this, but I have another guy I want to ask you about. Nigel Pack tonight, not the most stat-stuffing offensive night we've seen from him, but he gets up, he has the tip slam. It looked like your entire bench was about to have a heart attack. Did you know that Nigel had that in him?
No, I haven't seen that. Neither did any of his teammates. So for him to do that in a game like this with the crowd, he was pumped up. He elevated and threw it down. That'll be talked about for the next 2 days.
Coach, I got to ask you, because I don't know if you know this yet, but they caught you on camera pregame taking a money clip out of one pocket and then putting it in the other pocket. Was that just an accident, or was that a little hat tip to Jim Boeheim?
Are you kidding?
Yeah,
No.
they got you on TV doing that.
Okay.
Man.
So here's what everybody needs to understand. My routines are exactly the same every single day. In that case, I have 10 Luden's Wild Cherry cough drops in my right pocket, and I've got my money, cash, in my left pocket. And I don't think I changed pockets, what I had to do is I had to find a note I had made to myself in my left pocket. So I took the money out and got the note, read it, put the money back and the note back, and then I was off.
That was it?
Did they show me rebounding in the locker room?
No.
Well, now that we know your routine, T.O., I think is probably going to pick you back to the Elite Eight again now that he's seen this and it's going so well for you, Coach. Congratulations again on the huge win. We'll be watching you the rest of the year. We wish you the best of luck in this ACC race down the stretch.
My pleasure, guys.
That was a fun interview, boys. I mean, we've done quite a few of those on this network this year. I didn't really know what to expect. I haven't listened to too many Jim Larrañaga interviews in my time. Great interview from a great guy, a great coach, who is really the man of the night, I would say, in the sport tonight. T.O., are you going to pick these guys back to the Elite Eight? That's the question everyone wants to know.
It all depends on seeding. But this year, there's just so many different teams. They have guys. And I was curious how Omier was going to fit. But just because he's a little undersized, he overwhelmed people physically at his last spot. It's possible they could make another run. They're that good, especially when they move the ball like they did. And Muga Poplar, like, he is developed. The potential was always there. Now Larrañaga is starting to trust him, and buddy, he's good.
The real answer to that question is whether or not T.O. is going to go to sleep before he has to do the selection show. Because if he does it on 0 hours of sleep, then who knows what's going to happen? Because he's sitting here bragging about this. I promise you, he woke up.
I would have done that anyway.
He's like, who did I pick? Where? What happened? Do I have to remember this now? That because remember we came. We finished a show at 3:30, and you had a flight at what 5 out of LaGuardia, something like that. Yeah,
that was a mistake. That was a mistake. I would have picked Miami anyway. Guards that create, man. They win in the tournament because everything breaks down.
Listen, T.O. is a lot like me with my bets. You only hear about the ones I win. You don't hear about the ones I lose too much. But I can't wait to see your bracket this year. I'll say that, T.O. All right, we're going to head to break here as this Kansas-Texas game wraps down. Coming up, we will break down what looks like it will be a Jayhawks victory. That's next on After Dark.
Clear. All right, Trevor, do we got any questions cooking in the chat right now?
I got to be honest, the chat's at about a C- right now in terms of questions.
Ooh, get him, Trev.
I'll ask this one from Brady. If Georgia Tech were to open up, who do you guys think would be a good candidate?
I know who you think, T.O. You gonna say it? If it were to open up? Yeah. Bob Ritchie would be good there. There you go. Bob Ritchie would be good there. Furman's
I would take a long look at my man down at Tulane, Ron Hunter. I think that he'd be able to get people from the city of Atlanta. I think that he is a guy that will re-energize that program. I think the one thing that you can say about Ron Hunter is he's always going to bring the energy. And being able to win, he's not like they're not winning at a high level at Tulane right now. But it's not like they've ever won at a high level at Tulane, and he's gotten some dudes in, and the ones that haven't been arrested for
30 seconds.
Done a pretty good job.
I mean, small sample size, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rob Yulee wants to know your thoughts on 5 Big East teams being ranked.
They deserve it. Best top 5 in America. You want the proof? If you look at efficiency margins, you know who the worst team in the Big East has been
10
this
seconds.
season? Butler. You know who Butler beat?
There you go.
Kansas State.
It's the Field of 68 after dark, and the Jayhawks are about to secure a victory, barring a miracle here. As we speak right this second, 86-80, 18 seconds left on the clock. Grady Dick is at the free throw line, and he makes the second. That's a 3-possession game, gentlemen. Good game for Kansas here, especially given the fact that Jalen Wilson has not been nearly the superstar offensively that he has been all season. Rob, if you would have told us prior to this game, Jalen Wilson's going to have 2 points with a minute left in this game, you think Texas wins that going away, right?
Yeah, I think they win by 50. That's what my guess would have been. But it goes to show you the importance of what Kansas can be when they actually get guys around him, when he gets some support, when you have things like Grady Dick making a couple 3-pointers and making some shots off the bounce, when you have things like DeJuan Harris being a threat offensively, being a threat off the dribble, being somebody that can get out and transition and make a play, when you got someone like Joseph Yesufu coming off the bench, like, and it's not even like a ton of this stuff was done just in the half court. Like, they were getting out in transition, they played really well defensively. Like, it was a really impressive all-around team performance from Kansas, and it's something that we really have not seen from this group, T.O., over the course of like the last 3 weeks. Like, it's kind of been the Jalen Wilson show, and you hope you get enough from the other guys to be able to squeak out a win when he drops 38, right? Yeah, 2 tonight. They put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys in double figures. That's impressive.
Yeah, and your first team All-American scores 2. That's the crazy part. DeJuan Harris is really good. He didn't make the top 10 Cousy Award finalists. I think he's one of the most underrated players in college basketball. He just does winning stuff constantly. That's all he does is winning things. He guards like all hell. He uses pick and rolls. He doesn't force the issue. And guys, he looks like he weighs about $165. It's amazing to me that he guards as well as he does at his size. And he just continues to do winning things. When he's not good, Kansas struggles. When he's really good, everybody's orchestrating around him. And when he's hitting shots, I mean, even with Jalen Wilson playing bad, you can forget it because it just opens the floor up that much more. And he's a stat sheet stuffer. 17, 6, and 5 tonight in 34 minutes. He's that guy for Kansas that's inexpendable. You have to have him on the floor at the end of games, and you have to have him playing well. When that's the case, Kansas is good, guys. And if Texas doesn't turn the ball over in the first half, I think Texas actually wins this game. That first half was brutal, and they kept giving Kansas points off turnovers, getting out and running. When Texas set their defense, I thought they were solid. For the most part, I thought they were solid.
Yeah. So, Marcus Carr finished with 29, and I swear in the first half, I was like, this dude, what is he doing? You know, we talked about him. I think it was with you, Greg. Did we talk about like Marcus Carr's having legit like a top 10, top 5 point guard kind of a season this year? He had 29 tonight. He was horrible in the first half. And part of the reason they got down as big as they did is because there was one time he stepped over the inbounds line when he was trying to inbound a basketball. There was another one when someone inbounded the ball to him and the defender was right there and it kind of took him by surprise and he traveled. Like, it was just kind of dumb, avoidable mistakes that he was making. There was another one he walked in the half court. It just he made some plays in the second half, but when you're trying to come back from 12 down against Kansas, like, look, this is what Texas does, right? They dug themselves. They were down 18 at home to TCU. They won that game. They were down by 12 at home to Texas Tech. They won that game. They were down by 14 at Kansas State on Saturday, and they came back and won that game. But you can't dig yourself a hole at Kansas and expect to come back. That's just, you're playing with fire there.
Yeah, he's like the inverse of Harris in a weird way. Marcus Carr is, right? Like, he could go get you 30 on a lot of nights, and sometimes he's playing great and gets you 30, but sometimes it's a 30 and he didn't play that great. Whereas Harris, like, he could have nights where he scores 2 points and he plays great basketball, but they do different things. I will make a point on Harris, though, because I criticized him a lot preseason. Just like, I think this team is going to need more from him offensively to reach the heights that last year's version did, given the departures. In their losses, the 4 losses they've had in the last couple of weeks, he had 7 points total in those 4 games. And then tonight, he leads the team in shots. Clearly, he's capable against big-time opponents like Texas is. That was the first-place team in the Big 12 tonight. So if they can get that more consistently from him, I'm all the way in on this Kansas team. If they don't, I still think it's a pretty big burden.
I think it's a confidence thing with him. Like, we see it a little bit with Andre Jackson, right? There's something that kind of messes with your head if you're a player and people don't guard you, right? If the other team kind of says, like, look, we're better off not playing defense on you and letting you do whatever you want to do than we are playing defense on you, right? And that's when you're playing,
guys. It ruins guys.
Yes. Like, we saw it with DeJuan Harris. We've seen it with Andre Jackson. We've seen it with Aaron Thompson at Butler a couple of years. Like that, Ben Simmons. It's it's in that dude's not dunking the ball anymore, passing up wide open dunks.
Yeah,
you know,
totally different. Also, I just want to reset real quickly. Welcome to any listeners that we have on Sirius XM channel 84. You are listening to the Field of 68 After Dark, brought to you by Bet Rivers. We got Rob Dauster, Terrence Oglesby. My name is Greg Waddell here. We are talking Kansas, Texas as the Jayhawks secure the victory. This is a big one as far as not even momentum, but just numbers in the Big 12 race. If Texas was to go on the road and get this victory and hold a 1-game lead over Iowa State, but a 2-game lead over everybody else that matters, and a 3-game lead in the loss column over Kansas, all of a sudden you can start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel there if you're the Longhorns to winning this conference. Now, that group of 6 teams at the top that I've just called a chaotic mess, I mean, everybody's within a game from each other still at this point. Texas and Iowa State with 3 losses in the conference. Kansas, TCU, Kansas State, Baylor, all with 4 losses. Let's flip to the Texas side of this for a second, guys, because I have been blown away recently watching Texas compared to the first month of the season by one major change. Where has Tyrese Hunter gone? I mean, I genuinely thought he was their best player the first 3 weeks of the season. I thought he was going to be a potential first-team All-American after a few of those games. He has been so much less involved than I envisioned he would be when he transferred over to Texas this season. Rob, what do you make of that?
It's been Sir Jabari Rice stepping up and being a difference maker. You know, Marcus Carr, we talked about how great Marcus Carr has been. Sir Jabari Rice is a 5th-year senior that won at New Mexico State, that won when he was in high school, that can play. Is a little bit of a better shooter, can play a little bit.
Best shot fake in college basketball.
Hey, listen, he got that from Sam Young. Okay, Sam Young walked so Sir Jabari Rice could thrive.
Sam Young played.
Put some respect on Sam Young's name.
You don't even know if he was alive. You don't even know if he was alive. You are showing your age, sir. Sam Young was drafted when 2006.
Pitt legend. Sam Young. No, but it's because of Sir Jabari Rice's kind of emergence as the secondary guy in the backcourt. I think it has less to do with what Tyrese Hunter has been and more to do with the fact that he's just kind of gotten outplayed, you know. And I do think that Hunter has been fine in spurts, and I do think there is something to say about bringing a guy off the bench that can kind of be your energy guy, that can kind of be your microwave score, and I think that's the role that Rice has kind of embraced. Also, his name is Sir Jabari. Like, you just know he's going to go out there and get a bucket, right?
All name team for sure. It has been the emergence of Sir Jabari Rice. That's the big thing. They're looking for him to create something, and that shot fake creates a lot of things. It's amazing. It looks like that thing belongs at church league with me on Sundays, and I'm going to use it next time I play. I'm going to miss the next couple of games. I'm out. Got to have to work a little bit, but our team's going to stay strong. Clemson Presbyterian, what's up? So, and then on top of that, he's more naturally a point guard anyway. And Marcus Carr has the ball in his hands. And if you look at the game tonight, in my humble opinion, and we all know it's not worth much, especially to some pundits. In my humble opinion, in the first half, Marcus Carr was thinking too much. He was trying to be a point guard's point guard. In the second half, he got back to who he was. Right? He wasn't trying to create for anybody else. He was focused on being a bucket. That was the biggest difference between good Marcus Carr and wildly mediocre Marcus Carr. Second half, he was 8 of 16. He got rocks up in the last 20 minutes. That's where he's most comfortable being that guy. And to be honest with you, if Marcus Carr is that guy in the first half, like they were when we went down to watch them play in Gonzaga, Rob, like then what happens is it closes up on him by the time halftime comes around, and then Tyrese Hunter can get going because he's somebody who's going to let the ball come to him. Sir Jabari Rice, that ball moves. That ball needs to come to him a little bit. He can create, sure, but I feel like Tyrese Hunter's a flow of the offense guy right now. I think he's fully capable of doing things on his own, but for this team, he's a flow of the offense guy. Maybe you need that Marcus Carr in the first half as opposed to the second, and then you don't turn the ball over.
The one thing I will
that's your defense on the other end.
The one thing I will say to that is, I do think there's something to be said with some of the defensive issues that Texas has had in recent weeks. Like, if you look at what the schedule they had, their last 4 games, it was at Tennessee, home for Baylor, at Kansas State, at Kansas. If you go 2-2 in that stretch, you came out with a win. I don't know how much more you could ask in going 2-2 in that 2-2 in that stretch. But you gave up 88 points to Kansas tonight. You gave up 82 points to a Tennessee team that is, I think it's fair to say, abysmal on the offensive end of the floor. You need to start tightening it up on that end. And I think that getting more minutes from Tyrese Hunter is something that might be able to help there a little bit. Because he's really, who else on that team would you look at and say, okay, that's someone that can lock up? That's someone that I'm going to trust that can guard. Dylan Mitchell, yes, but Dylan Mitchell is more of like he's less we're going to put him on somebody to shut him down, and more of like he's going to be a good team, rotational, weak side, playmaking kind of defender, right? Who are you guys? Who are the guys on there that you trust to just go get a stop for you, that you could put on someone and say, I need you to win this battle defensively, and then go win it for you? They don't have a ton of them.
No,
but I think team defense wise, they've been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are they on KenPom? They can't be too low. I mean,
they're going to drop out of like the top 30,
27. 27.
Yeah,
I mean, do they have
before giving up 88 to Kansas? But yes, to your point, they've been fine. But if we're talking about like I'm not worried about them offensively. I'm worried about, are they going to be able to get enough? Like, I just see the 82 points that they gave to Tennessee, and that's just like a huge red flag. You know, I've watched too much.
But also, you look at who scored for Kansas today. Like, have they done that consistently? So, like Joseph Yesufu, has he been that dude all year? DeJuan Harris, has he been that kind of dude all year? Not a scoring way, but he's
they've been bad, and then all I had to do was face this Texas defense, and all of a sudden they found a way to get going. You could say,
but I'm just saying, if you follow your scout and
if
guys
you want to go
nuts,
spin zone on this, TO, if you want to go spin zone on this, if you want to think outside the box here, a little galaxy brain, Texas just fixed Kansas.
That's such a spin zone. That hurts. I don't think I like that at all.
I'm not even going to address that nonsense.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that at all. So we're later in the show, we're going to play a little game of who's the worst team that you can see making a Final Four. Neither one of these two teams will qualify for that game because both of these teams are far too good to consider them bad enough to be the worst team that could make the Final Four. With that said, if you had to pick one of these two teams in March, who are you more confident in will make a deep run? Let's start with you, Rob, and then I want your answer too, Tio.
Whoever is coached by Bill Self.
That's just it across the board. You told me that last night too. That's just okay. So say we threw that roster out, right? Say we just grabbed any other. Take UConn's roster and give him Bill Self as a coach. Your answer is still Bill Self?
Yeah.
Careful, Rob.
Yeah. I almost went there. I'm not going to do it. Yes.
I thought I could get you. I really did think I could get you. All right, T.O., what's your answer?
Kansas, because they're playing so spread. Like the lane is wide open. Ernest Uday is like, he's developed. He caught a couple of lobs today where I thought like, hey man, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, I mean, they just, with Jalen Wilson playing poorly and they still had other guys step up, I mean, that's got to be a huge confidence booster. I would pick them just because Bill Self's over there and they're playing so wide open and they have a definitive go-to guy at the end of games in Jalen Wilson. Even though he wasn't great tonight, he's still capable of big nights on a big stage against a really good team. So I would go Kansas.
Can I flip this back to you, Greg?
Sure.
Out of anyone in the Big 12, you can pick any one of the Big 12. Make the Final Four, but you got to put it all on it.
Yeah, I'm going Baylor. I've been pretty steady with that. I'm going to trust that team in March, especially with JTT back.
Mm-hmm.
I still I was wrong about Kansas preseason. I said they would not be a national contender. Hands up. Totally wrong. That's me. I still think some of the flaws I called out preseason are still here. Like, I think they're losing games when their point guard scores 2 points or less. And that's happened 4 times in the last 3 weeks. Like, it's great when he goes for 18, but that needs to happen 6 times in a row when the NCAA tournament gets here.
Yeah, they have all these flaws, right? They have all these flaws. Everyone knows about them. Sometimes you can exploit them. Most times you cannot. I wonder why that is.
Okay.
Why do you think that is?
Right.
Is there a reason why you think that could be happening?
No comment.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, you know what else you said in the preseason? Remember when you said that Pete Nance was going to be better than Drew Timme?
All right, and on that note, it's a great time to go to break.
Greg,
it's a great time to go to break. Coming up on the Field of 68 After Dark, our bracketology show happens today. That's the only thing that happened in the last 6 months that we need to talk about. That's next on the Field of 68 After Dark.
You're clear. That was not the take.
You said Pete Nance was going to be better than Drew Timme.
That was not the take. My exact words.
And here I am getting ridiculed. I'm getting ridiculed for saying if he played in the SEC, he'd be Tolu Smith.
Listen to me. First of all, They're not using my guy Pete correctly over there at Carolina. Okay. He's a stretch 5. He is not a stretch 4. He's a playmaking 5. That doesn't work with whatever Carolina's trying to do, with 2 guards that want to take 31 shots a game that may or may not like each other for some things off the court right now, and a center that wants to do. I'm just saying, there's a lot going on with that team where Pete Nance might exactly not fit in.
I'll tell you after the show, T.O. I'll tell you after the show on that one.
The take was, I've
been told
Gonzaga,
by certain pundits.
If I am Gonzaga, I want Pete Nance instead of Drew Timme in the NCAA tournament. I have a better chance to win games with that. If you replace
if you're Gonzaga, you want Pete Nance instead of Drew Timme?
In the NCAA tournament, I have a better chance of winning a national title if you put Pete Nance in Drew Timme's shoes. Yes, that's the take. I stand by that.
30 seconds.
How quick can we sub in a new host?
I stand by it, man.
Trevor, rip off the warm-ups. Let's go.
Listen,
hit the like button if you don't agree with what he's saying.
We know how a Drew Timme team season
ends.
Hit
the like button.
Hit the
it
like
ends
button.
with something with good guards cooking him in pick and rolls. That's how it's going to end. We know that. We don't know how a team with Pete Nance.
Here we go. 4, 3.
I can't tell if I'm just hearing things or not, but I'm pretty sure I just heard a child crying in the background somewhere. Hopefully it wasn't at my Pete Nance Drew Timme take that was discussed on the YouTube channel right now, live on the Field of 68 after
Pete
dark.
Nance did a bang-up job at Northwestern, and you want to put him over there at Gonzaga? Are you kidding me?
Let's not talk about that, T.O. We have more to get to tonight. That was Terrence Oglesby
I'm
just
not letting
roasting
you
me
slide on
right
this
now.
one, Greg.
This
so Greg,
was
here's Greg's take. We're gonna have to.
We're
have to
going
address
live
this.
with this, T.O. Come
Yes,
on.
we are.
So,
yes, we
so
are.
here's Greg. He thinks that Pete Nance, if you flipped him with Drew Timme, Gonzaga would have more success. Is that what you're telling me right now?
I said in a win or go home situation, if I am Gonzaga with all these young guards, with this new roster this year, I would rather have Pete Nance than Drew Timme in a win or go home, win 6 straight games or go home situation. Yes.
Let me make a counterpoint. Let me make a counterpoint.
Like I'm taking crazy pills.
Let me make a counterpoint. Northwestern last year with the same backcourt that has them in contention for the NCAA tournament this season with Pete Nance went 15-16. This year, they already have a better record than that. This year, they're going to end up with a winning record because Pete Nance isn't there. But you put him on Gonzaga, and all of a sudden, they're going to win the national title. Was he the missing piece? If we had put Pete Nance on the 2021 team, would they go undefeated? Is that what it was?
Rob,
all you're missing is Pete Nance?
You said they were 15-16 last year. That was the number, and they're what, 16-7 this year?
16-7 this year.
They might end up 16-15, Rob. Let me just say that. Like, look, give them credit. They've gotten better. If you want to go the toxic Ewing theory route, I'd point my fingers at Ryan Young before I would point them at Pete Nance. But
no neck, Ryan Young.
Can we move on, please?
So you're saying the missing piece for Nolan Hickman is a little Pete Nance in his
No,
life.
I'm. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually letting you guys do this to me right now. I'm saying we like Drew Timme's one fatal flaw. Forget the pointing at the mustache.
Greg, can I ask you a question, flaw. Greg? I have a serious question.
What?
All right, so
don't you do that, Greg. You dug this hole.
I'm sick.
You dug this hole.
So the Philadelphia 76ers, right? We know how good they are with Joel Embiid. They got James Harden. Tyrese Maxey's been great. Do you think if they just drafted Pete Nance, then all of a sudden they're going to be the new Golden State Warriors? Like, is that what all it's going to take to make them be a dynasty?
No, it is not. Pete Nance has been awful this year, to be very clear. That's true. That's accurate. Just wait till March.
You got anything else, T.O.? You got anything else in the holster for this?
I need a nap. I need to go to sleep. I can't believe I'm even entertaining this right now. This is crazy. All right, sorry. What was in the third section? What are we even talking about? What were we supposed to talk about, Greg?
I just deleted everything in it, and I just added Pete Nance's career stats for you guys. All right, let's try to move on, I guess. I hope that at the very least, like, I hope the chat's roasting me. I can take that more than I can take the two of you roasting me right now.
They're good.
Good. Lovely. So fielding the 68, it's our bracketology show. Don't worry, I don't provide analysis on that. Okay. They had a new episode today, 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday and Friday. You can watch that on the Field of 68 YouTube channel. We got some of the best bracketologists in the game. And our consensus bracket today, gentlemen, has both North Carolina and Kentucky in the last 4 in. It's a pretty exciting potential first 4 play-in games in Dayton. How surprising is that to you guys at this point? Obviously, Carolina's coming off the Duke loss. That's not great. They were underdogs in that game. Kentucky's had a bunch of downs and maybe a few ups over the last month. But do you think both these teams will remain in this section, or is this like the low point before the rise and they end up comfortably in? T.O., what do you think?
Guys, there's no bubble with Carolina and Kentucky. They either have to be so bad you have to make them miss the tournament, or they're in the tournament. There's no bubble. Both of those teams are getting in the tournament if it started today. No questions asked. And they might actually get like a 6 or a 7 seed because those teams are getting in. They are all the way out or all the way in. There is no bubble. I'm sorry. Today,
I actually agree with you.
Huge win at Tennessee. Probably one of the more impressive wins so far this season at Tennessee. And then Carolina, I mean, guys, they haven't been outside of a 2-week stretch at the end of November. Like, they haven't been that horrible. Like,
well, here's the problem with North Carolina, and this is what I didn't really realize until I dug into it for this exact segment, is that they don't have any good wins.
No,
they haven't beaten anybody this year. Everybody worth a shit that they've played this season, they've lost to. And it's been close losses, and it's been competitive losses. It was a 5-point loss to Iowa State. It was a 4 overtime loss to Alabama. They lost by 8 to Virginia Tech. They lost by 12 at Indiana, but that was a little bit closer than a 12-point game. 2 at Pitt, 7 at UVA, which was basically a 1-possession game. They lost by 1 at home to Pitt. They lost by 6 at Duke, which was basically a 1-possession game, right?
And after every one of those losses, they rose in the net.
Yeah,
because nobody knows what's happening in the net.
All right, forget the net, okay?
All right, sorry.
Do you know who their best win is right now by all the metrics?
Ohio
State. Ohio State is their one quad 1 win right now because they beat them on a neutral court, and they were ranked 42nd in the net right now, right? After that, it's like Michigan, who's not going to make the NCAA tournament, sorry, grade.
Hey.
And then NC State at home. Those are their wins. That's what they have right now. Now, keep in mind, this is what they play the rest of the season. They're at Wake, which is a quad 1 game. They get Clemson at home, quad 2 game. They get Miami at home, quad 2 game, might end up being a quad 1 game depending on how things break out. At NC State, quad 1. Virginia at home, quad 1. Duke at home, quad 1. So they got a ton of opportunities. Same thing with Kentucky. But Kentucky's in a little bit of a different situation because they have a great win and they also have a horrific loss and like nothing in between. They've accomplished nothing in between. But again, they get Arkansas, Tennessee, at Florida, Auburn, at Mississippi State, at Arkansas down the stretch of the season. So, like, they're going to have their opportunities. They're going to have chances to improve their resume. And if they don't, then they're going to end up probably being like a playing game team unless it's so incredibly obvious that they shouldn't be in the dance that they can't get in. But I'm with T.O. on this. Remember in 2021? When no one thought that UCLA was going to end up being good enough and no one really thought Michigan State was going to end up being good enough, and the committee just kind of said, you know what, fuck it. Let's put them in the playing game. Let's make people care about Dayton. They ended up going to overtime. They had a great game. It was the highest rated game that we've seen in Dayton to date. Imagine what would happen if you put Kentucky and North Carolina in Dayton with North Carolina coming off of that run, preseason #1 team, and maybe possibly the last game that we're ever going to see Coach Cal coach at Kentucky, and you put that in Dayton in the first 4 as the first game you play in the NCAA tournament. I think people would like that. I think people would tune in and watch.
I'm not mad at that.
So it's all rigged. That's what you're saying, Rob.
What I'm saying is that there are 12
we're naive to think that it's not a money-making endeavor here, Greg.
Yes, there are 12 human beings in that room that are making these decisions, right? That's my biggest thing with all of this is that you think that everything is just so perfectly lined up with the net and with these metrics and all. It's just a bunch of dudes in a room like us making a decision. It just so happens that they happen to have higher level degrees and a certain salary.
They're not dudes
work
like
for a
us,
school
Rob.
or a conference or whatever, right? They got a bunch of people in a room making a decision. And they probably argue just as much as we do, just, maybe with a little bit less of the brown water.
Yeah, you heard it here first. The people that put the formal bracket together in March is just a bunch of dudes in a room who think that Gonzaga would be better with Pete Nance than Drew Timme. That is exactly what is happening in this sport right now. Both these teams are going to get in, and I don't know that it's a money grab, if you want to call it that. Fine. I just think both teams are good enough to get in and are going to get in. Like
I agree there. I agree.
We may say that right now.
Can I go back at our fielding the 68 guys? Maybe I'm going to regret this, but I'm
sure.
How do they have Texas A&M anywhere close right now? Like, how are they in the conversation?
Split decision there, by the way, from the judges. We had a divisive analysis on Texas A&M today. Not everybody had them in.
No, I saw it. Like, I listened to it. I watched the show, believe it or not, Greg, even though you're hosting it. I know they got 2 quad 1 wins. I know they got 2 quad 2 wins, which is actually pretty good if you're talking about teams kind of on the bubble in the cut line range. But they've lost to Murray State on a neutral. They got smacked at home by Wofford. They got a quad 3 and a quad 4 loss. It's not like they have a ton of great wins that are just going to be completely eye popping and blow you away. Like, they beat Auburn, Florida twice, and Missouri. What have they done that's super impressive?
I think it's the road wins. Add Florida, add Auburn.
Great. Okay, great. You beat Florida on the road before Florida figured it out. You beat Auburn on the road, who is a shell of what we normally expect Auburn to be. It's just whatever.
Yeah, but I think so much of this,
they got a great net though, T.O.
So much of this, from what I've heard from the people who are way smarter than me, is it's who have you beaten? Like, when you're comparing the resumes of teams that are all in the same bucket, like you just said it, we go through Kentucky and UNC schedule. Like, Ohio State being North Carolina's only win is horrendous. Mm-hmm. When you can point to at Auburn, at Florida, like, that's definitely worth a leg up there. Mm-hmm. I think Kentucky, like, that Tennessee win is really going to matter. T.O., I want to ask you this before we move on. We're going to break in just a second here, but your own Clemson Tigers would be the last team in the field if they do not win the ACC auto bid. That hurts your soul. I can see it in your eyes. Do you disagree that should be the case?
You know what? My only disagreement would be if you're in that 13, 14, 15 win range in the ACC, like, you should be in. I understand the ACC is not as good as what it used to be. I understand that. I'm not denying that. It is what it is. That being said, if you're in the top 3 or 4 in a Power 6 conference, like, I believe you should be in. I mean, except for the Pac-12, which has 3 teams and everybody else.
The only thing that I mostly agree with you. The only problem is that there's so much dreck at the bottom of the ACC. Like, you could go 13-7 and have 7 of those wins over Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Boston College, Louisville, Florida State. Like, it's the unbalanced schedules that kind of mess everything up. And I actually think, if we're just talking about what they are on paper, that Clemson is, like, without a doubt in my mind, like, one of the top 35 teams in America right now.
They've lost 2 in a row.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, you can't ignore the fact that they got smacked around by a Loyola Chicago team that's in last place in the Atlantic 10 and a not good Atlantic 10. And they lost to South Carolina, which
that South Carolina one's really going to come back to bite them, because I talked to Brad at the beginning of the season. He's like, I'm worried about this one because PJ's not healthy yet all the way. And
well, he's got to play that up. He's got to play that up. Be like,
Brad's not going to do that though. You know, Brad.
Then you got to do it, man. Like, you got to fight for your boys.
Hey, man, we weren't healthy at the beginning of the year. PJ Hall's a big piece to our puzzle. Like, you got to pump that out. He still played, but he wasn't. He was at 60%. Like, that's the one that kills him.
In all seriousness, I'm not even joking about this. If you start pushing that narrative, and it gets to the point where it's like in people's heads, and it becomes one of the things that they say, it's like, Clemson had this loss, but PJ Hall wasn't right. Like, we can overlook that one a little bit. That becomes something that changes the way that people are going to view it. And if you have changing the way that people are going to view it, and you have changing the way the human beings in that room that are just picking names and putting them into the bracket, like, that stuff matters. That's why you always see these coaches get out on TV and push what they have. Why during the conference tournament, after somebody wins a game, they're in the press conference saying, we have this many quad 1 wins. We have this, we have that. Because if you could push that narrative, and you get your people to push that narrative, and then you get the media to push that narrative, it changes how it's kind of viewed. You know what I mean? Like, it becomes groupthink. And if you can make the groupthink be something positive for your team, then that's going to help. Like, there's
I
no
say
way
all
it can
that.
hurt.
I say all that. He was on a minutes restriction. He played 20 minutes. He still ended up with 15 and 5. And he was on a minutes restriction. So if he plays another 15 minutes, who knows what he has?
They win.
T.O. is also our resident Big Ten guy. I'll just add some hashtag Big Ten analysis here. I think one thing that hurts your case, T.O., for any team that finishes top 4 in a power conference this year, specific to the ACC, there's 5 teams in the ACC that are 100 spots lower on KenPom than Nebraska. Like, if you just replaced 4 of those teams with Nebraska, like, that probably helps the metrics a ton, number one, but 2, affords them the ability to lose 1 to 2 of those games. Like, that's going to come back to bite a team like Clemson that they have that loss. Stop it, T.O. You want to tell our listeners on Sirius XM channel 84 exactly what's going on here, Mr. Oglesby?
Yeah, we got a break.
We're going to break right now. Coming up, I'm going to force these guys to tell me the worst team in college basketball that can make the Final Four this season. That's next on After Dark.
Thanks, Tio. You're clear.
Hey, we're gonna go commercial right there at the end of the show. We're gonna have to hurry.
I told you it's 5 minutes.
Hey,
at the
the
end of
Pete
the show.
Nance take it sent you for a loop. We wasted 7 minutes of that.
Wasted. That was the best part of our show.
Questions
All right.
in the chat.
Thanks, T.O. Look at T.O. just running everything right now. Who has been the most impactful transfer addition this season? That's from Kevin.
Pete Nance.
Kendrick Davis.
Key on Ted.
Yeah,
Deontay
he's
Johnson.
been big. I'll tell you, I watched. I had the privilege of watching a really good one last Saturday. Landers Nolly's still playing college basketball, and he was really good for Cincinnati.
I'm glad his knee's okay, man, because the injury he had, what was it, a week and a half ago? I was like, yeah.
Hey, he's got an old
man
man pump fake.
Yeah, he does.
He's got an old man pump fake.
His
He's
name's
got a little Serge
Landers.
Ibaka pump fake in him.
Can we get
His name is
T.O.'s?
Landers.
Can we get T.O.'s top 3 pump fakes in college basketball?
Oh, yeah, that's what I want. Let's go.
That's a
the
good one.
30 seconds.
I don't know who's after number 1 and number 2. It's obviously Serge Ibaka Rice and Landers Nolly. I don't know who would qualify after that. There's not a memorable pump fake, I guess.
All right. Keep an eye on it. Down the
Yep, I
stretch
will.
run of the season. I'd like that list. Anything else, Trevor? Quick one.
What does Wisconsin have to do to
10
make the
seconds.
tournament?
Beat Michigan. Those teams played twice against each other. One of them sweeps. They're in. The other one's out.
Here we go.
We are back on the field of 68 after dark. It's been a wild show where we have unearthed quite a few truths from each other. And gentlemen, I'm ready to throw the ball into your court now, where you can tell me a take that I absolutely despise. I want to know the worst team that can make a Final Four genuinely in your mind, and you would not be surprised this season. We've talked a ton about how wide open the year is. So I don't want some team that's fringe top 25. I don't want some team that's competing for their conference title. I want a team that everyone's going to be shocked when they hear this answer, except for you, because you believe in them for whatever reason. Rob, we're going to go to you first on this one and give us your team and then give us your explanation of why you can see them making a Final Four.
So I have 2.
Overachiever.
Yes, I'm pulling a TO. I have 2. The first one I'm going to go with is NC State. I love teams that have guards that can make a play, and they got 2 of them. I don't know how many times they're going to go up against someone when they don't have the best backcourt on the floor. And both Jarkel Joyner, Terquavian Smith, I think you could even put Casey Morsell in that conversation. Like, they can get you 15 or 20 in a given night. Baby T can get you 25. Jarkel can get you 25. And they got the big fella DJ Burns, who is a Cadillac.
No,
In the
you know what
post.
DJ Burns is?
What is he?
He's a walking refrigerator with ballet feet.
He's a Ford Aerostar minivan that gets buckets. And my other one is, you guys are going to, I know you're going to hate this. I wish the people on Sirius XM would be able to see your reaction right now. It's Villanova.
Oh, come on.
Dude,
It's
what?
Villanova. It's Villanova.
That's
If
so
Justin
absurd.
Moore,
All right.
If Justin
Rob's
Moore
done
gets back to
talking. Rob's done
100%.
talking. So for mine,
if
I'm
Justin
going,
Moore gets back to 100%,
I
Hold on,
didn't know.
let me make the point real quick. Justin Moore gets back to 100%. You got an all-conference player in Justin Moore. You got an all-conference player in Caleb Daniels. You got an all-conference player in Eric Dixon.
500.
Are any of those guys actually making an all-conference team? You said this last night too.
They've all made all-conference teams.
Yeah, who they were years ago. Like, how many are on the all-conference team this season? You can't be like, they have 4 all-conference dudes.
They've made all-conference teams. All they need is a point guard.
They're 10 and 13. Rob, go to sleep. They're 10 and 13.
You asked for the worst team that can make it. They made it last year with 4 of those dudes.
So are they winning out though? How are they getting the tournament?
Yeah,
winning the Big East tournament.
Yeah, they're going to go into the Big East tournament. They're going to win it. They're gonna pull a UConn circa 2011.
This team's way worse than that team was. All right, Theo, what's your answer?
Yeah. It's wild that they're that bad too. It is wild. 4 Final Four starters, and they're 10 and 13.
This is bad.
Yeah.
Theo, what's your answer?
I didn't know when you said worst, define worst. That was so I just kind of started going down the line of teams on KenPom, and I went all the way down to number 17.
Oh, come on.
Well, no. I thought it was a legitimate shot to make a Final Four.
So who's number 17? TCU?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. TCU
for the same reason 10. You just picked NC State.
But you picked a team that's been in the top 15 for like 3 months.
Of what poll? Dude, I don't pay attention to what the AP says.
Unbelievable.
I don't pay attention to what the AP says.
You don't pay attention to the net either. What are we
talking about? Villanova, they're 10 and 13. They're a bunch of world beaters.
You're supposed to pick a bad team. That's the point. That's the point of the exercise.
Well, I tell you what, you knocked that out of the park.
You know what?
You knocked that out of the park.
Here's my, you know what? I'm going to amend my pick. Here's my new favorite. The worst team I think can make a Final Four, Purdue.
All right. Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll give you another one. I think Providence can make a Final Four.
That's acceptable.
Okay. That's much more.
I think
acceptable.
Providence could make a Final Four. I think Jared Bynum's playing better. They've got guys from different spots that can score. Bryce Hopkins is really stinking good. That's a team that can make a Final Four.
They're too good for this conversation, but I will accept that one. That's better than TCU.
I will also accept.
I thought it was national. I thought it was worst team to win a national championship because I don't listen good.
No, that was Final Four, as was said.
Hey, you listened when I said that Greg thought Pete Nance was better than Drew Timmy. You heard that one loud
the
and
two
clear.
of you just absolved me because Villanova can make a Final Four and TCU is the worst team. Our worst takes than my Pete Nance take.
Is Villanova going to make the CIT this year, Dauster?
No, hey, look, they might not even make the Big East tournament at this rate, okay? But if they do, they're dangerous.
They might get demoted to D2 if we went by soccer rules.
I would bet that Villanova goes like 2-6 down the stretch. I don't know how many games they have, but that team's not good. All right, you guys can flame my final answer. We have less than a minute left, I'm pretty sure. I'm going Penn State. They got to get in. But if they get in, like 4 of their 5 Big Ten wins this year have all been by double digits is because they just catch fire. They go nuclear. Yeah. Jalen Pickett's best player on the floor, 40% shooters everywhere. I could see it happening.
I'm not mad at that.
I don't hate that one.
Guys, that's how a game's supposed to work. Just for the record. I mean, come on. We spelled this out pretty clearly. What are we doing right
Hey, you know what I think? You know what I think, Rob? I think DePaul could make the Final Four.
Hey, you know, I think Butler's a lock to make it, baby.
Oh, my God. All right. We put our listeners through enough tonight. Thank you, seriously, to anyone who made it through 58 minutes of this nonsense. This was the Field of 68 After Dark. We had Rob Dauster. We had Terrence Oglesby. My name is Greg Waddell. And we're going to jump over to the Field of 68 YouTube channel for the afters, where we'll be taking your questions and talking about more horrible teams that can win national titles. We'll see you tomorrow night on After Dark.
And you're clear.
Maryland Eastern Shore is a 16 seed, has a better shot at getting to a Final Four than freaking Villanova. God, man. That's a wild take, boy. We have a
Rob, do you like
taking wild takes?
Rob, I know you're a family man now. That's an awesome thing. But like, were you the guy who like old girlfriends would break up with you and like 4 years later you're just reminiscing about what was? I feel like that's you with these Villanova players right now. Like these guys haven't been who they are in 12 calendar months. And you're like, they're all conference guys.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
That's exactly who I am. That's exactly what I'm doing. I don't reminisce about the old flames. I don't really have that many old flames. Oh, a couple. You trapped yours, didn't you? Kinda, yeah.
All right.
Well, what we got, Dagan? I'm not going to go further into that.
It's
one.
Trevor for the
It's
record.
Trevor.
Damn it! Save
Well,
the show.
Dagan's
Trevor.
talking shit in the chat in our text line.
Save the show, Trevor.
This show is wow. Does
Take
T.O.
it
like
easy, Nance.
does T.O. like the net, the RPI, or Ken Palm more?
Ken Palm, no doubt, no doubt. Ken Palm, without question. Makes
Power
sense.
rank them. Power rank them.
What's the third? What's the other ones? Ken Palm, the net. Who else?
RPI, net.
All right, so I'm going Ken Palm 1, RPI 2, the AP poll 3, USA Today 4, whatever my son Damon likes next, and then the freaking net.
Is the Goodman top 25 above or below the net?
Oh, it's light years above the net.
Where's Torben?
Light years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Goodman 25, the Field of 68, aka the Greg Waddell top 25, and then the net. The net sucks. It just sucks.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What else,
what's
Trev?
up?
What else, Trevor?
Here's
What do
an
we got?
interesting one from our esteemed producer Dagan Hughes. If you made a tournament with all of the worst teams in the country, who would be the final four?
Like, who's the best?
Villanova.
Who's the best?
Like, who would be the best teams in a field of bad teams?
I feel like that's basically like what's the NIT Final Four, right? Just whoever's not going to make the tournament qualifies for this.
I mean, he said the worst.
Or like, I guess we gotta define the bar of the worst, because I want my Wolverines to win something, man.
They got a shot. They could win the NIT this year.
I
They might
think
have
you
a-
would end up Bethune-Cookman would beat VMI.
You got to put Stanford in that mix too. Stanford's terrible.
Yeah, but they've got some players that'll overwhelm.
You know what would be
level.
fascinating if we had
Cal.
a matchup in the Final Four, Stanford against Cal.
Georgetown.
Yep,
Florida
Georgetown.
State.
Yeah, battle of the mids.
See,
Now we'll call it battle for the bottom.
can we make bowl games a thing in college basketball? Like, I'd love to just pair two shitty teams that aren't going to play a postseason tournament together for that reason.
Just so you could bet on it.
Yeah. Tell me, like, everybody would love that.
Well, all right. So give me your top three matchups, like shitty team matchups.
It's got to be teams with backstories, right? The same reason Kentucky, North Carolina makes sense for the play-in. We need backstories.
Louisville and Georgetown.
Louisville, Iona.
Oh, that's a good one.
Iona just gets to beat the shit out of Louisville.
That's a good one.
I'm not mad at that one at all.
The Rick Pitino revenge game.
Yeah.
You know, you don't like that one?
I do like that one.
Oh, okay. I thought you said
I think Iona's pretty good. I thought there was two bad teams.
Yeah, that's true.
Touche. Fair point.
Give me Nebraska in any of those games. Somebody asked, did you guys see the way Milwaukee won tonight and who they lost tonight and who they lost to?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Crazy. I mean, I'm kind of sad for them, honestly. From my side, like, I don't like seeing teams at the mid-major level that are actually pretty good essentially eliminate themselves immediately from like a special season. And I feel like you can't lose to a team that's that low nationally. Their third win of the season for Green Bay? I actually like this Milwaukee team. I've watched them a little bit this year. Would root for them. Now that, I mean, obviously they had to win the conference tournament anyway, but that's a pretty crushing loss.
Will wants to know who stands to benefit more tomorrow from a win, Kentucky or Arkansas?
Kentucky. No doubt about it. Arkansas is in the tournament if it started today, comfortably. I don't know if it's going to stay that way, but they're in the they're comfortably in the tournament. Kentucky needs wins. They need to just like stack up these low Q1, Q2 victories just to kind of say we have look at everything that we have right now. They need to create as many arguments as possible for people to ignore the fact that they lost to fucking South Carolina. Kentucky needs it more. It's at Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Is that Rupp? Yeah. Kentucky needs it more.
Rob,
disagree, Tio?
Yeah, I got nothing against it. It's just two mediocre SEC teams. I'm not sure.
Battle of the mid.
Rob, Brady wants you to do a 10-minute motivational speech for Andre Jackson.
I'm just going to play 10 minutes. He doesn't need a speech. You just go watch clips of you dunking all over people's fucking faces. That's all you got to do. He actually played pretty well against Georgetown, I thought, in the second half. He made a lot of really big plays, big hustle plays. Primo Spears came into the game, second in the Big East in scoring, took one shot, I believe, right?
He just needs to major into minors. He needs to do everything else but score.
Well, he's got the DeJuan Harris thing. Teams don't guard him, and it's completely in his head.
Here's my counter to that. I used to play against a guy. Now this is when I was young, and a guy named Dale Clayton, who's a former coach, and now he does a bunch of stuff for Nation of Coaches or whatever. And I had to guard a guy, and I backed up because I was like, dude, I got no shot at guarding this cat if I have to get up on him, because he was 7 years older than me or something. And I was in middle school or early middle school, 5th, 6th grade, something like that. And I just backed up because all that's doing is giving him a running start. So there's something to be said there too. Why doesn't he just attack anyway?
He should. I'm telling you, that's what he was doing at the start of the season. And now it's gotten to the point where he's questioning what he's doing. And if you're going to be a driver like that, you can't question it. You can't think about it. You got to just go. You got to just play off your instincts. And he's not playing off his instincts. Does that make sense? Yeah. He's thinking about what the next move is going to be. He's thinking about, all right, they're not guarding me. Do I want to shoot this? No, I don't want to shoot this. I miss everything. Am I going to drive? Okay, I guess I'm going to drive. So we'll kind of half-ass it, and they'll jump up and charge into somebody. They got to find ways to keep him engaged and keep the defender engaged without.
If you're going to mess up, just mess up at 100 miles an hour.
Yes,
that's my biggest thing. That's how you get out of slumps. Dude, you're just going to embrace the fact that you're going to screw up, and sometimes it's going to look really bad. It's going to look really ugly. But damn it, do it 100 miles an hour. That's what I tell my son all the time. Just do it 100 miles an hour. If you mess up, that's fine. We'll fix it. Or the same thing with him. Cut hard. Cut it 100 miles an hour. Pass it, cut through it 100 miles an hour. The rest of it, the ball finds energy.
Greg, tell T.O. who your seventh most likely team to win a national title is.
Oh, God. Do I have to?
Yeah, tell him.
Xavier.
No, 7th.
That was
you have UConn above Xavier?
I have UConn 6th.
Yeah. He's a Husky, man.
All right.
They're good team, man.
He also tried to trade Drew Timme for Pete Nance. So
okay. All right.
Grain of salt here.
You know what? All of a sudden, all my confidence in Greg's take is completely gone out the window.
Tar Heel, baby. Hey, Rob, speaking of my takes, you want to know the only thing I bet responsibly at Bet Rivers today?
What's that?
Jalen Wilson over 18.5 points. He had 2, ladies and gentlemen. Trevor, what else we got?
And they won. Imagine thinking that they would have won when he had 2 points. That's insane.
Here's a great one from Will. This is for T.O. If T.O. had to choose between becoming Jeff Goodman's personal hype man or using the net to entirely guide his basketball thinking, how many seconds would it take before he retired?
First of all, I would be Jeff Goodman's hype man because I have that kind of energy. I could do that. They can't hold you, Jeff. Keep throwing those takes at them. Keep posting all those tweets and all those pundits.
Yeah, Jeff. Take pictures of that TV set. Everybody wants to know what you think about the people that are on ESPN.
The people need to know what you're eating in Charleston, Jeff. The people need to know.
You know what? Just stay down there another month. You need to live your best life. Yeah. You've worked really hard in your life.
You're an empty nester. There's nothing holding you in Boston. It's minus 50 up there. You're an empty nester. It's not nice.
Just get that second dessert. You know what? Get a third dessert too.
Get a third dessert because you've already ordered
a hard day. You've had a hard day doing nothing. You've had a hard day sitting on your ass. You deserve it. You've earned that 4th banana pudding of the week.
Hey, dude. We say all that when we were in Texas, and he's like, I think I want that dessert. Oh, that one looks good too. I was like, Jeff, are you gonna get two desserts? He goes,
Yeah.
That's his thing. That's what he gets 2 desserts every time we go out to eat. He's like, I'm on keto. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be healthy. I'm trying to lose some weight. And then he's like, yeah, you know what? Let me get the banana pudding and the chocolate cream pie.
And the triple fudge chocolate cake.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay. All right. We can move on. Who asked that question?
That was Will.
Yeah. There you go, Will.
Shout out, Will.
Good job, Will.
What team that isn't supposed to make the tournament is going to steal a bid and get in?
I mean, the two that I've kind of been trending towards, you're going to hate the first one, Villanova. The other one is Florida State. 2 teams that are getting people
so
back.
they would win the ACC.
Yeah, that's kind of the.
I'm gonna be rough on you right here. They're not gonna. That's not gonna happen.
With Florida State.
They're not very good.
They looked okay for a little while. They beat some teams.
No consistent point guard play at all, and they have a couple of guys that just don't do winning things. Just not going to happen.
Rob, do you have one that would not need to win their conference tournament that could qualify for this? Because I feel like those are long shots you're throwing out there, man.
Yeah, but so what are you thinking though?
I mean,
bubble team.
Like someone that can win a couple games.
Like below the bubble. Like I'm going to sound homery, but I genuinely think Michigan might. And they're nowhere close.
Oh, you're telling me that Hunter Dickinson is going to decide to start playing in March and all of a sudden turn into Hunter fucking Dickinson again? Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Hey, Hunter hasn't been terrible, guys.
Yeah, it's been the pieces around him. You know what it is? He stopped talking all that shit on his podcast.
He got better.
Mm-hmm. Did happen a little bit. Not gonna lie.
You know who? I can't believe I'm about to say this. I really don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If Seton Hall figures it out,
I agree.
They got a bunch of length and a bunch of athleticism, and they got a guy in Kadari Richmond that can kind of take over and be a dude. And they got some shooters. Like the issue isn't the talent on the roster. They've won.
There's talent on that roster.
Yeah.
There's talent on that roster.
They've won 8 out of 10. They kind of figured it out. What about Virginia Tech's another one, I think.
Yeah, that's a good one. If they're able to sneak in, I could see that.
I think they're close. Were they one of the I think they were one of the first 4 out, right?
Yes.
Yeah, bubble range.
Were they one of the first 4 out for us?
Yes.
Yeah. They had a
4-game skid whenever Couture got hurt.
Yeah.
And that was a huge portion of that because he's their best on-ball defender. He hits some big shots. He shoots it at the end of games. It's not a huge average guy, but he just means so much for that team.
Yeah. So they're 4-8 in the ACC right now. This is what they have left: Boston College, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, Pitt at home, Miami at home, at Duke, Louisville, Florida State. So they could very easily win 7 of those.
Yeah,
you win 7 of those, and one of them is Miami at home or at Duke. You're probably looking at getting in if you're Virginia Tech.
I got that Virginia Tech at Notre Dame game Saturday. I'm on that game.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, it'll be a fun one.
What about Wake Forest?
Tyree Apple.
I feel like there's 17 teams in the ACC that fit this.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah,
Wake's off the bubble right now. I think though. They got work to do, but I would love to see Apple be in.
Let's see players.
Yeah, true. All right, Trevor, let's get 2 more if we got them.
If Purdue loses in the round of 32, they lost to fill-in-the-blank team.
Ooh, I like this question.
So according to the fielding of 68.
So that would be an 8-9.
Yeah, so Arkansas, New Mexico, Florida Atlantic, USC,
NC State.
Oh, yeah.
Think about that guard matchup. And it's not like they need a ton of pick and rolls. And DJ Burns put that body on Zach Edey. He might be the only guy that's his big sideways.
You know what? There's a lot of teams on the 8-9 that I think could get them. If we're talking guards that would just need to eat up Smith and Lawyer and put Edey in spots where he needs to guard in space, Arkansas could do that. New Mexico could do that. NC State could do that. There's a lot of teams there that scare me a little bit.
If you look at the 7 and the 10 line, too, if you want to go down that far for teams that are kind of in that same conversation. You got Providence as a 7 seed. You got Creighton as a 7 seed. You got West Virginia as a 10 seed. There's some good
Shit,
teams.
Well, no, never mind. I thought about it. I thought better of it.
What?
I really like that that Northwestern guard combo, but not against Purdue.
They wouldn't put them in the second round. You can't have a Big Ten team.
No. But
Auburn
has 2 guards. Auburn's on that 7 line.
Do any of those groups, or I guess what team that we just named that we like the backcourts of, has the most applicable front court? Like, who has some bodies they could throw at Edey? Any of those?
Creighton.
Yeah.
Providence has a bunch of different guys they could just kind of throw at them. I don't think anybody.
The problem with Providence and Creighton is I don't expect their seeds to go down. Those are 2 teams where I expect their seeds to go up as the season progresses.
I agree with that.
To me, the very obvious one is NC State. Like, they got guards that can pressure you. They try to force turnovers. They got a big body that can kind of do as well as you're going to do against Zach Edey. I think it's NC State, although I don't love the idea. Let me ask you this, T.O. If you're trying to beat Purdue, is the best way to do it to try to go big for big with Zach Edey and try to slow him down? Or do you just want someone that can stretch him out and hope that you tire him out, making him chase somebody around on defense that can shoot threes, putting him in ball screen actions and hoping that he gets –
I wouldn't even put him in ball screen actions because he's shown to be really good in ball screen defense, playing that drop coverage, and he's still 7'5". I would go along the lines of what St. Peter's, bunch of staggers where his guy is the last screener.
Yeah, I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Because then you're flying off. They're going to have to trail, and then you've got a head of steam. And if your guys are screening well at all, like, you're going to get some open shots because whenever they set a stagger away, he's sitting in that paint. Like, he's way down in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the reason I would also like NC State is because you don't necessarily need a ball screen for Jarkel Joyner or Terquavius Smith. Like, those dudes can just do it without one. And there's really not that many guys that can do it without a ball screen.
Not this year.
Yeah. But those two can. And, DJ Burns, that's a big boy now. Walking refrigerator with ballerina feet. I'm telling you, like, he's a nice player. He can only play about 25 minutes. That's the only kind of drawback of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing I would just add, I would want some team that would be, and I guess any team could do this, but I would want a team that I think has a reasonable shot of putting pressure on Edey not to foul. Because, look, he does a great job not fouling in the Big Ten. His foul rate is incredibly low. I know that's been a conversation with Purdue fans. But I thought Trace, like, that was part of the game in the Indiana game, right? It was Indiana was able to separate in the first half because Edey got 2. He's only had 3 games, I think, this year that he's had 3 fouls since, like, the beginning of December. 2 of them were losses. One of them was Michigan. That was a pretty close game on the stretch. Yeah, hard to do. But I think, like, that it feels like that's going to come up at some point in the NCAA tournament. So if you've got –
You know what would be fascinating? What would be utterly fascinating? And I hope the NCAA can find a way to pull this off.
Imagine if we talked about UNC and Kentucky, right? How they're both kind of on that playing game line. Imagine if we get like UNC Purdue in the second round of the NCAA tournament, or Zach Edey, Oscar Tshiebwe in the second round of the NCAA tournament.
That'd be insane.
Sign me up for that.
You would see how small Oscar Tshiebwe really is.
Yeah, dude. It's so, like, if you think about it, Oscar Tshiebwe standing next to Zach Edey is quite literally T.O. standing next to Oscar Tshiebwe.
Yeah.
That's the size difference.
That's terrifying. That is terrifying. All right, Trevor, one final one if we got it, and then we'll wrap.
Let's see. Do you guys think the Mountain West is legitimately a deeper conference than the Pac-12?
No.
Elaborate.
I think that once you get to like teams 7, 8, 9, the Pac-12 is like kind of pretty much way better than the Mountain West. I think the top of the Pac-12 is better. I think if you look at who's the third best team, that's probably where like the third and fourth best team kind of conversation. But then again, Do you like a Boise State more than a USC? Do you like a Nevada more than Arizona State?
More than Arizona State. I don't know if I like Boise State more than USC. Pac-12 isn't very good, but like you still got Pac-12 players in the Pac-12.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one because
Well,
it goes
you
down to about
you guys
UNC.
can sit here and hype up the Mountain West if you want. I'll remind you that they how many games did they win in the NCAA tournament?
No, they
last
went
year?
0-4. I'm with you. I didn't think they should have
Okay.
gotten that many bids.
Okay. Do you remember when Oregon State went from what were they, like the 9 seed in the Pac-12 tournament, and they ended up making, was it the Elite 8, something like that?
Yeah, and they signed Wayne Tinkle to a lifetime deal.
Yeah, I remember that. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I remember that.
I remember that.
The problem is if you stacked up every single team in both of these conferences, the two worst would be in the Pac-12 this year, though. Cal and Oregon State. Those are bad basketball teams, Rob. Like we can't sit here and say it falls off a cliff in the Mountain West when those two teams exist. Shrug. That's all I get.
Every team's got bad teams at the bottom. Maybe the Mountain West are like marginally less bad.
There's
everywhere else, the Pac-12 is
though.
better. Okay. All right. Yeah, you got me. You know what? The 11th and 12th teams in the Pac-12 are worse than the bottom of the Mountain West. Nobody gives a shit about any of those teams. No one sitting here right now, no one in the chat. None of us have watched a single game for Cal, for Oregon State, for anybody at the bottom of the mountain. Like, what are we talking about? Once you get past like the top 8 of any league, it doesn't count anymore. No one cares.
I love me some Hunter Maldonado. Okay. Maybe I'm just a sicko for that, but
Wyoming fell off a cliff, huh?
Fun player. All right, let's get to toast of the night. And Rob Dauster himself said pre-show, if anybody steals my toast, I'm going to be so mad. So in hopes that might happen, T.O., go ahead, go first for us. What do you got tonight?
Me or you want Rob to go ahead?
I want you first.
Norchad Omier hit his first 2 threes of the season. Really expanding out his game in a route. Guys, I had doubts as far as how he was going to fit into a heightened level of play because he overwhelmed people physically at his previous spot. Now he's still overwhelming people physically at 6'7", which is amazing to say. Norchad Omier. I don't know why Omier is so hard for me to say. I want to say
you counted how many times Duke missed a layup today in the game. I'm going to go through and count how many different ways you pronounce that dude's
No, I've said it right. I've said it right. I just it makes me. I just don't like it's hard name for me. I don't know. Omier. It's just so unnatural. So
well, you pronounce tire. So you can't.
I'll never let
you
that
can't
one
be
down.
trusted.
He's a top tire guy. Top tire.
All right. I am going to the city of Green Bay. Freddie Owens, his 4th game as the interim head coach at Green Bay for the Phoenix. They are 362nd on KenPom. He is a Milwaukee native. He goes into his hometown and he picks up a win over a team that was playing for first place in the Horizon. Obviously, David Ziegler hit the game tying 3 and then hit the game winning shot. So shouts to him or whatever. But Freddie Owens, man, interim head coach, finding a way to get it done. Cheers to you. Never easy to be the substitute teacher in that situation. And I always like to see those guys succeed. Rooting for him. Hope he gets the job. Find a way to get it done. Wisconsin guy, Wisconsin grad too. So doing that in your home state, in your home city, always fun to see. That's my toast of the night.
That's big. It's a good toast. I was not going to steal that for the record. If I were capable of saying nice things about Kansas, I would give my toast to DeJuan Harris, who I've publicly criticized for months and was fantastic tonight. But I'm going to go a different direction. I'm going to go to the most impactful thing in college basketball tonight, guys. That's Jim Larrañaga's pockets tonight, boys, because he taught a little lesson to the Cameron crazies themselves tonight that they got to get their money up a little bit, because when you're Duke, when you're John Shire, when you're the Brotherhood at this stage, this season, post Coach K era, when you hit the transfer portal for a player, you're looking at Ryan Young, Jacob Grandison. Cool. Let's see where we can fit those guys in. When you're Jim Larrañaga's pockets, you're getting Norchad Omier and Nigel Pack. Cheers to you.
Not his pockets.
Yeah.
Well, it's friend of a friend's
pocket.
His
wasn't his life wallet? Is that what you're saying? It wasn't, the money didn't come from his life wallet, T.O.? Is that what you're saying? Is that what I'm hearing? Am I hearing that right?
His life wallet?
Mm-hmm.
Is life wallet even a physical wallet? It's not.
No.
His pockets were stacked tonight. You saw the clip. All right, boys. Fun episode as always.
Hold on. Why did I think when he said I always have 10? I thought he was going to say like $100 bills in his pocket, like Eldon Campbell used to have a $100 bill out of his sock. I thought that's where he was going with that.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting too. And it's
drops.
like I have 10 throat lozenges. Like what? That is a strange thing to have.
That is weirdly specific.
Yeah, honestly, the fact that none of us pressed him for a follow-up on that missed opportunity for the Field of 68 Network. All right, shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate you. We got some good questions tonight in the afters. Thank you for rocking with us all evening long. We will be back tomorrow night. For Rob Dauster, for Terrence Oglesby, for producer Trevor, my name is Greg Waddell, and we'll see you tomorrow night on After.